Hello friends and followers, it's good to see you back here again watching my episodes. 27th of April 2017, and this is now episode 19 of my regular episodes, and this one will be covering about a story in 1948 about a sighting of a ghost rocket type UFO by two airline pilots. It's called the Charles and Whited UFO encounter. Here is a photo of Lawrence Charles and John Whited together explaining the UFO encounter to the media. The story is covered very deeply on Wikipedia and many other UFO websites out there. But this is the general story of how it goes. Both were skilled pilots of about 8,500 hours flying time. They were aboard a DC-3 plane and left Texas, Houston, about 8 p.m. They were cruising about 5,000 feet outside Alabama, and they noticed a craft that was flanking them on the right about 1,000 to 2,000 feet away, and it gave some turbulence to their craft, and the pilot thought it was going to hit them, so he made adjustments and tried to avoid it, but both agreed it was a type of craft that had windows and it had a vapor trail behind it, and it did a sharp acceleration ascending into a cloud bank and disappeared. And this was about 3 o'clock in the morning, 2:45 a.m. They said it had flames coming out the rear end and thought it was possibly a jet, and only one passenger at that time in the morning noticed something out the window. Probably the others were sleeping, who knows. And he said he saw a streak of light passing the plane. They said they saw it for about 10 to 15 seconds, and here's some pictures of what they saw. They drew it separately, and as you can see, it sort of matches up what they saw. Some see different details, I suppose, of the incident. I guess 10 to 15 seconds is not long enough to get all the details into your head, but the police say eyewitness accounts are not very reliable, proven by stats and stuff like that. Still, the comparison of what they saw is very similar, and you can take the average of what they saw and you can say that they saw a rocket type ship with windows. And here is a newspaper clipping talking about their story. As you can see, the quality of the scanning wasn't very good. Maybe the CIA did it. If you look at my previous episode on the CIA. When I first heard the story, I thought of the sky rockets in Sweden in 1946. I recently did an episode on Victor Schauberger, and you can have a watch of that one, which talks more about the ghost rockets and his connection. But here's some pictures of what a ghost rocket looked like by the eyewitnesses, and a photo of one coming down. There's a big explanation story on the wiki here, but essentially it boils down to the experts saying that they think they saw a fireball, a meteorite, enter in the atmosphere, because there was a lot of meteorites spotted that year. And the psychology tests, the guy that did it said that what they saw was a real craft and not a meteorite, so there you go. So what are the specs on a DC-3 plane? I've got a few here, and it was used in the 1940s and World War II, and it was first made in 1935, and there's still some in operation today for aerial spraying and other stuff like that, and probably tourists for special flights around scenic areas. But it looks like it can do a ceiling height of 23,000 feet. maximum speed of 330 kilometers an hour, or for US people 207 miles per hour, which isn't really fast for a plane, but a prop plane back in those days it was probably pretty fast. Doesn't beat jet fighters now, doing Mach 3 or higher, which is quite damn fast. Now 5,000 feet to some doesn't sound very high, so let's calculate that out and compare it to some things and see if it's feasible that a meteorite could be at 5,000 feet flying past them. Now 5,000 feet is not even quite a mile up, and here are some buildings, the highest buildings in the world. The highest one at the moment is this Burj Khalifa. I don't know how you say that, but it's Middle East and Saudi Arabia, and it's about 3,000 feet high, and it has 57 elevators to get to the top floor, because you can only haul an elevator on cable so far, and then you have to switch elevators. I think the trade towers that got destroyed in 9/11 were the same. They had multiple elevators, or lifts, or you want to call it. And at the moment they're building a new spire that's going to be up to a mile high, so it would have been reaching up to the cruising flight of this prop plane, which is quite amazing. And it would have clouds, it would break through the cloud level almost, and you'd be looking down on clouds on the very top. So is it feasible for a meteorite to be that low down and pass them, then shoot upwards, accelerating? Doesn't sound like a meteorite, does it? To give you another idea, here's a video of the Air Force in America dropping 8 Humvees from the plane at 5,000 feet. So have a watch of that. It's quite an interesting little video. Here's an example of a meteorite horizontal in the sky, which would have to have been travelling with them, but this one's in Russia and it was like 29 miles up. Imagine if that exploded a mile above, it would have wiped out the city for sure. It would have been like the compression wave from the explosion would have crushed all the buildings, and probably impact of the air pressure on the people itself would have killed them instantly. The question then is, what was the craft they saw? The rocket craft like Buck Rogers? Could it have been visitors from another time? Space tourists from the future? But aliens having a look, tourist aliens with a row of windows for them to do filming out of. But what were they filming at 1 mile above the surface and the landscape? So it makes your mind boggle. Interesting story. It sounds like it's legit. And here's a whole heap of pilots that have seen UFOs, and each of them have got a story to tell, which will probably have to be separate episodes or a collection of episodes to cover all their stories. But fascinating stuff. And pilots should be credible witnesses, but who knows? It does sound like they write it off what they see as Venus, a lot of them, and meteorites, of course, and weather anomalies, and maybe even swamp gas. So I hope you liked the episode, and hit the like button on the way out, and if you're not a member, subscribe so you can see more episodes like this in the future. And take care, everybody, and I'll see you next time.